we talk to the emerging generation about the judgments of God, the severity of God? My name is Daphne Kirk of Generation to Generation. So from childhood, we teach children about his love and his forgiveness, about his protection, his care. They grow up through their teenage years knowing further aspects of his glory and his wonder, and all this is good. But we can't pull God into little pieces, his character. God is love, that is who he is, and within that love comes his judgments. Within that love is the severity of God. Romans 11:22 says this, "Behold the goodness and severity of God." So we need to teach the emerging generation the total integration of the God we serve. Let's think about parents for a moment. Parents reward good behaviour and they discipline when there's bad behaviour. They are severe. There are judgments. Why is a good parent judge and discipline a child? Why does a parent who loves a child discipline them? Because they know it's for their own good. A child that is left undisciplined will run rampant. They will end up hating the parents, they will end up rebellious, and they will end up in a lot of trouble. And that's how it is with God. When we are left to our own devices, and when a nation is left to its own devices, it gets rebellious, it runs away from God, and it ends up in a lot of trouble. And God knows that. And because he loves us, because he cares for nations, he's going to discipline them. He's going to bring judgments. And you can interchange the word judgments with discipline probably to make it more understandable and tangible. So I want to take you on a journey. I want us to go back to Israel, where there are two mountains. There was Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal. And God said to Moses, I want half the tribes of Israel on one mountain and half the tribes on another mountain. There was a total split between the two, 6 and 6. And on Mount Gerizim, he said, from this mountain you are going to bless the people of Israel. If you obey the Lord, he says, all these blessings are going to come upon you. You will be blessed in the city and you'll be blessed in the country. And everybody shouted, Amen. And then he said, your children will be blessed. And everybody would shout, Amen. You'll be blessed when you come in and you'll be blessed when you go out. And everybody shouted, Amen. See, the goodness of God they understood. They knew the blessing of God as it echoed from that mountain. Now let's go to the other mountain, Mount Ebal. 6 of the tribes are up there. And Moses said, if you do not obey the Lord your God, all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. These judgments, these disciplines will come upon you and overtake you. What were they? You'll be cursed in the city and cursed in the country. What did the people say? Amen. The fruit of your womb will be cursed. Your children will be cursed. And the people said, Amen. You will be cursed when you come in and you'll be cursed when you go out. What did the people say? Amen, which means so be it. You see, God's people knew without any doubt that God blesses and he curses. God rewards and God disciplines because he is a God who cares, because he is a God who loves. And just as with a parent, every discipline is so that child grows up wholesome and in a good relationship with them. I have yet to see an adult child relating well to an adult parent when they have just been let to go and do their own thing. They disrespect them. And we're the same with God. And because he loves us, he is going to judge. He is going to judge nations. Why? To bring them back to himself, to turn them back to himself. He will never discipline them in a way that means they haven't got the free will to turn back to him. And I think if we explain it in this way to the emerging generation, they're going to understand and they're going to be able to relate to it. You know, on those two mountains, the people of Israel would never have forgotten that. They experienced it, they were part of it. They stood on one and heard the amens coming from the other, and they stood on the other and they heard the amens coming. They experienced in those moments the goodness and the discipline, the judgments of God, the God they served, all because he loved them. And this generation needs to know that the day is coming when in Haggai 2:7 it says, I will shake the nations. And there is a shaking starting on this earth. Why? Because God is shaking the nations. Wake up, nations. It's time to turn to me. If you don't turn to me, yes, I'm going to judge you. Yes, I'm going to discipline you. Why? Because I'm returning and you belong to me. You know, the nations are not looking for him at the moment. I'm speaking generally. The nations are doing their own thing. They're running like rebellious children. And he says this, I will shake the nations and the desire of all nations will come. The nations are going to desire him. The nations are going to want him. And so as you talk to the emerging generation about this time of shaking and this time of judgment, they must know that the end result is he is longing to have his children back. He is longing to have the nations back. And he knows that just as with a child and a parent, it's going to take judgment and discipline to bring them back to him. And we know the end result, the desire of all nations will come as they long to see his return. If you were impacted by this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel because there's lots of videos going up, and hit that notification bell. Thank you.